Hey you guys, this is Rashawn Ellis with News, Views, and Conversations. Just want to pop in on this Saturday. As you all know, we have witnessed and seen so much since the election. Big fallout, big fallout, big fallout. I want to highlight something that I noticed that I took notice of. I'm just kind of paying attention to how. Remember when the comic guy that was there like the last night of the convention for Trump for his last convention that he had in New York? And of course, he said a lot of things to a lot of different race of people, Puerto Ricans, blacks. They talked about the Haitians with the cats and the dogs or whatever. I wanted to highlight that today and how it's very interesting to me how they sat there, laughed it off when he was making the jokes that he made about other races of people. And now that this whole thing has come up with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk wanting to keep the H-1B immigrant tax in place, but they want to get rid of the agricultural immigrants and keep the tech immigrants, but also a lot of the racist whites, not the decent white people, but the racist whites, they're getting mad and aggravated now that they're pretty much going to be bringing in a lot of more immigrants on the tech level. And so they are fumigating, they are very upset. But it was funny when the comic guy was standing there talking about all the other race of people. And another thing I want to point out is funny that because Elon Musk spent 277 million or probably more to, have say so, to be able to call the shots and say what he wants to say or whatever, and put his input in on everything that's going on. That's something that people have to recognize and realize. He paid the cost to have say so. So a lot of the racist whites, you didn't. You didn't put any money in on this ticket to have say so. He pretty much just used your vote to get him elected, and he paid for what he wanted. You guys didn't. He just pretty much used you guys. And that's what everybody's been trying to get you guys to see the whole time, but you keep looking at this thing as a race thing. So pretty much it's going to show you that it shouldn't be about race. It should never be about race. I think in every nationality, we all have something to offer. But I think what the H-1B visa does allow for is for people from other countries to come over and to show off their talent, just as we have American talent, whether you're African American, Haitian, Chinese, Japanese, Puerto Rican, or whatever your race is, there's talent in every race. But these guys are going to come over just to continue to show off their talent. That's what Elon Musk stated. That's how he got over here. But it's just interesting to me how they really thought that what he ran on, what he lied on, he's not going to be able to carry that out. I even question myself and others question how many people are you going to actually be able to deport? Because how I see it, just as they need the tech immigrants, we also need the agricultural immigrants as well. That they build houses, they have restaurants, they are also entrepreneurs as well. They assist in homes as far as having cleaning services. They do a lot. They farm. They do a lot. We need the agricultural immigrants just as we need the tech immigrants, and we need everybody in the middle to make this thing work. And that's the thing that everybody needs to realize, especially the people that are racist. We need everybody. God has this whole system set up to where if you cut one part of it off, cut one part of people off, this may not work. You cut this part off, that may not work. So we're all intertwined together to where if you get rid of anybody, that makes everything else break down or it dysfunctions and it doesn't work. So hopefully with the fallout that just happened, with them getting mad because he elected whomever he elected. I'm about to get to all of that in a minute. I got a lot of reading for you today. Hopefully they'll see, you know, there's gifts in each of us, there's talents in each of us, and everybody just wants that opportunity to be able to get those talents and get gifts out there. It shouldn't be downsized because you're not white, because you're black, you can't do this and you can't do that. It's not about your race, it's about what's up here. It's about what's in here, your morals, your integrity, your character, who you are as a person, who God created you to be. And this is something that people don't talk about enough. No one chooses who they're going to be when they come to this face of the earth. You don't get to choose if you're going to be Black. You don't get to choose if you're going to be white. You don't get to choose if you're going to be Haitian, Chinese, whatever it may be. You don't get to choose if you're going to be an alien, be green, be purple, whatever. We don't get to make any of those choices. So I would definitely say it is the ignorance of those that think that way and want to sit back as if they are high schoolers or children to criticize someone because of their color. You got to find another card to play other than your color. This ain't for the decent white folks that believe in unity for everybody. This is for the racist ones, specifically for the racist ones, not the decent white people, but for the ones that use this here as their only card to play, the white card. We need more than your white skin to make this world work. We need some sense, some smarts, some character, integrity, some morals. How about working together for once? Quit using the white card to try to play and say that's your ticket to get in everything. Obviously, the white card is not enough. $277 million is enough to play. And you know what they say about money. Money talks and BS walks. So since none of you guys, the racist ones, had $277 million, everything that he told you that he was going to do, guess what? He's not going to do any of that because he's going to follow the bag. He's been bought. So hopefully you guys really see what's at play here. He's not the only one that's sliding money to get things done. And that should tell a lot of people a lot of things that that's how this thing works. They're in the pockets of a lot of politicians, not just Elon Musk, Vivek, Ramaswamy, and anybody else. You saw what happened with Mayor Adams and so many other people. Money is being placed in certain places to make certain things happen. So it's not all about what you think, what you believe, how you feel, and because you're this, that is not how it goes. You really thought that, but that's not how it goes. That's definitely not how it goes. But I just want to point out how the comic was able to say all those things that he said, but then now you have Elon, Laura Loomer, and Vivek Ramaswamy pretty much saying to you guys what you've been saying to everybody else of other races. Karma is no joke. I want to first start off by reading what the comic was saying at that rally that night in New York. I just wanted to, put that out there. Remind people, remember how that went. A comedian at a Donald Trump rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage, sparking fury from Republicans and Democrats and accusations of racism. The comic Tony Hinchcliffe was among the speakers at the Madison Square Garden in New York on that Sunday. He also made a series of jokes that lent on racist stereotypes. In his joke, Hinchcliffe, known for his comedy podcast Kill Tony, said, "There's a lot going on. I don't know if you know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. I think it's called Puerto Rico." The line appeared to meet a mixed reception. Two Republicans in the state of Florida, which has a prominent Puerto Rican population, were among those who called out the joke. U.S. Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar said she was disgusted by the racist comment. She said on X that it did not reflect the GOP values, referring to the Republican Party, and noted thousands of Puerto Ricans served in the military. U.S. Senator Rick Scott said, "The joke bombed for a reason. It is not funny. It's not true." He added that Puerto Ricans are amazing people and amazing Americans. Puerto Rico is a U.S. island territory in the Caribbean. Its residents are unable to vote in the U.S. presidential elections, but there is a large diaspora across the U.S. who can. Hinchcliffe also suggested Latinos love making babies. He drew racist tropes about Black people and watermelons. So we like chicken and watermelons. which prompted groans from the audience, and he called Palestinians rock throwers. In the same sentence, suggested Jews would not spend money, invoking an anti Semitic trope. According to the BBC's US partner CBS, a source familiar with the event confirmed that the Trump campaign vetted Hinchcliffe's list of jokes, but the comments about Puerto Rico, Latinos, and Black people were ad-libbed. The campaign also said it cut 2 profane jokes. Why didn't you just cut the whole thing? You insulted a lot of people's intelligence. And I do remember a lot of people were trying to see if they could, they had already voted early. They wanted to actually take their votes back, but they couldn't. Meaning, if they had have known this was going to be said about them, they probably wouldn't have voted Trump. They too were tricked. Billionaire Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy may be advising President-elect Donald Trump on cutting federal spending, but they also have some advice for him about the U.S. workforce, urging his next administration to bring in more foreign tech workers. Musk and Ramaswamy views have sparked an online spat between factions of Trump supporters over immigration and the tech industry, whose businesses rely on the H-1B visa to bring in thousands of foreign engineers and other skilled workers each year from India, China, and other nations. The tech industry has long called for more H-1B visas to attract highly skilled workers to the U.S. Although Trump's first administration restricted the program in 2020, arguing that it allows businesses to replace Americans with lower paid foreign workers. The debate has again erupted after Musk himself, once on H-1B visa, and whose electric vehicle company Tesla has hired workers using the program, defending the tech industry's need to bring in foreign workers. Ramaswamy, for his part, wrote in an X post that American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence, leading to a nation that does not produce the best engineers. There is a permanent shortage of excellent engineering talent. It is the fundamental limiting factor in Silicon Valley, Musk wrote on December 25th on X, his social media app. So a lot of the white racist people, they are really feeling insulted right now because they're feeling as if to say, okay, we voted for you, Trump. We supported you because we want you to get rid of all immigrants, not just the agricultural ones, the tech ones too. We want all the jobs. Well, the question lies now is, do you qualify? Now, for the people here in the United States, no matter what their race is, if they qualify, they too will be added to that list to get those jobs. But how many of them are there to get those jobs? So I'm thinking, okay, it may be some, and it may be some that come in on the H-1B visas as well. So what they're trying to say is they don't want immigrants over here at all. Again, America was not built by just white America only. It was built by many of our ancestors, many of our people, no matter whether they were Haitian immigrants, African immigrants, Chinese, Japanese, none of that matters. America is a melting pot of all of us. That's what America is to me. America is all of us. America is not white America. Of course, these people here, they're trying to make America be white America, but America is not white America. It never was. It was built off the backs of slaves. It was built off the backs of immigrants. Different people coming from different parts of the world to make America be what it is, a place of freedom, a place of democracy, a place where people can get that new start and to be free and to live their best life, a free life, by contributing their work, their talents, their efforts that God gave them to bring to the earth. That's what America is to me. So for those that really believe that everything is about white America, no, it is not. Now, I don't agree with Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy on everything, or Laura Loomer either on everything. But in the things that they're now beginning to see, like their eyes are becoming open, now that it's decision-making time and he's making choices and selecting on who he wants in his cabinet, now they're saying what the left is saying, what the left has been saying. So now that the script is being flipped, They're looking at it like, okay, now you're in the same boat as everybody else that was like, no, he doesn't need to be elected in. Well, this is the part where Trump becomes two-faced. He's following the money. The 277 million is going to say, yeah, I like H-1B visa immigrants. I've always used those. That's what he stated. Maybe not directly exactly like that. That's what he stated pretty much. So now he has flipped and he's following the money and he's going to do what Elon says. Again, for the white races, where is your $277 million? You don't have. Maybe if you did have 277 million, maybe you would have been able to get a favor through because he's going to be able to bring all these immigrants up in here to work and get the jobs that you thought you were supposed to have. Again, if you don't qualify, it's not your job. It's going to go to them, and I'm sure other Americans that qualify that actually do have the skill set to do the job. Pretty much that's how this is going to work from what we're reading here. So they're mad because they didn't want him to make that decision. How did the most recent H-1B debate begin? The debate touched off this week when Laura Loomer, a right-wing influencer with a history of racist and conspiratorial comments, criticized Trump's selection of Saram Krishnan as an advisor on artificial intelligence policy in his coming administration. Krishnan favors the ability to bring more skilled immigrants into the United States. So that's how this whole thing got kicked off. And we all know that Laura Loomer, she has a mouth on her. And she said a lot of different things that I won't be mentioning here today. You can go out there and Google it, look it up to see what she said for yourself. And that's how this whole thing got cracking. Because pretty much he ran saying he getting all the immigrants out. He about to round them up. They've already said, how much money it's going to cost in the millions and trillions to get them out of here. It's going to put us in a bad place financial wise and work wise. And how are you going to get rid of the help? A lot of the farmers need them. Loomer declared the stance to be Loomer declared the stance to be not America first policy and said the tech executives who have aligned themselves with Trump were doing so to enrich themselves. Yeah, all of that may be true, but he's listening to the money right now. The oligarchy that they're trying to form in front of us, they are listening to the money. They're not worried about the people. They're worried about what they're getting ready to do and what's going to bring them up and lift them up even higher. Loomer's comments sparked a back and forth with venture capitalist and former PayPal executive David Sachs, whom Trump has tapped to be the White House AI and crypto czar. Musk and Ramaswamy, whom Trump has tasked with finding ways to cut federal government, defended the tech industry's need to bring in foreign workers. So there you have it. This is why all this is going on. Again, it just baffles me how the racist whites really think that it's all about them. It can never be all about you. It can only be about all of us. If God wanted it all about you, he would have only put y'all in the earth. It wouldn't be no black people, no Africans, no Chinese, no Japanese, no Haitians, no Puerto Ricans, no Palestinians, no nothing, no aliens, no dogs, no cats, no none of that. If he only wanted it to be just y'all, it would have been just y'all. It's not. We're all here together for a reason. And if you take one part away, this part isn't going to work. You take that part away, another part is not going to work. We all need each other. And I always say God has a way of showing us. So now that they all have, everything is settled somewhat, but to the point now it's about to rise again because now that he's selecting who he's selecting and he's going against what he ran on, they are about to lose their minds. Of course, we've already heard about what happened New Year's Day with the bombing in Las Vegas with the Tesla car in front of Trump Towers, and what happened in New Orleans. The guy that pretty much mowed down people in New Orleans on Bourbon Street and Canal Street. A lot is happening here because I would say a lot of the rhetoric, we saw it the first time in his first presidency. And what I believe is about to start happening now is the same thing. people striking for certain reasons. We don't know the whole totality reason of why the guy blew up the Tesla in front of the Trump Towers Hotel in Las Vegas. They did read the manifesto. I will get back to that in another video, as in his reasons for it. But he pretty much felt like uh, America is on a decline, it's on a collapse with all this stuff that's going on. Him threatening the other countries of taking Canada, uh, taking the Panama Canal, and then wanting to go over and take Greenland. So I believe a lot of the rhetoric that he is spewing is aggravating a lot of countries. The people here in the United States is aggravating people, is aggravating people in other countries. And when you keep spewing these kinds of things that you're saying, this is what you're going to see. I hate to say it. I don't want to see it, but it's going to be more violence for whatever reason. So the guy in New Orleans, he had been planning and plotting for a while, but he pretty much went over to the dark side with ISIS and radicalized, and he killed 14 people, deleted 14 people, New Year's Day. So it's almost like saying, you're saying all this stuff, what you're going to do, we can go ahead and get this party started early. And my God, did they. The first day of the year, we hadn't even had a chance to begin to enact our New Year's resolutions on what we want to see, what we hope to see for all this foolishness. I mean, day one. So again, this is why a lot of people did not want him to be elected, is because of the rhetoric that's spewed, the chaos that comes with him. The ones that support him, they want to uh, delete certain people because of their color. They want their rights to have all the jobs, whether they qualify or not, but they just want to be able to say, I can have that job. Just chaos beyond measure. I want to go ahead and get to what Vivek Ramaswamy had to say. And baby, they did not like anything that he had to say, but he made a lot of good points. Again, they wanted him to work for them only. No president in this country, king or whatever you want to call it, cannot just work for only one race of people. There's a lot of people in the earth, and guess what? They're not all just white. Vivek Ramaswamy got quite a strong reaction from conservatives when he tried to explain hiring trends across the tech sector in a culturally charged social media post on that Thursday. In an extended post shared on X, the tech entrepreneur wrote about how top companies often hire foreign born and first generation engineers over Native Americans, claiming the imbalance isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation, but rather because of differences on the societal level. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Ramaswamy continued before telling readers, tough questions demand tough answers. And if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers, he claimed. So he's basically saying, it just kind of sounds like he's saying a lot of the white Americans are more into the popularity, I would say, of individuals versus someone that really has the smarts, like someone that's more athletic versus having the smarts and the know-how of being able to move things along. And the celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ, her beauty over someone that really, again, has the smarts. So it's almost like saying popularity, looks, that's what's getting people on and getting opportunity versus really having the mind to be able to come in and do the actual job of the work. That's how I read it. Other people may read it differently. Comparing and contrasting characters from several popular 90s sitcoms, Ramaswamy went on to say, a culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zack and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. So Screech was smarter, Steve Urkel was smarter. Then the popularity, the looks, the whole swag, all of that, that's what I take from it. He had a lot to say. He had a lot to say. His solution: more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. While Ramaswamy points about pop culture seemed reasonable enough, the entrepreneur's diagnosis veered into problematic overgeneralizations when he claimed the difference boiled down to families and cultural and geographic backgrounds. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents, he wrote. More normal American kids view such those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. Now close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s or even now who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Ramaswamy doubted, be brutally honest. Turning back to America's supposed inclination towards the average, he said, normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper competitive global market for technical talent, and that if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. Ramaswamy did try to rally readers to help shift the status quo by envisioning a future where America once again prioritizes achievements over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. And I do get a lot of what he's saying because it looks like a lot of times I can kind of see what he's pointing out, pretty much saying a lot of people have actually gotten hired because of their looks. A lot of people have actually, gotten in maybe because they had someone to assist. We've discussed that matter before. I mean, it's a lot of different factors. Or some people, they kind of like, they have the bare minimum, so they get hired. I guess he's trying to say they have what it really takes to be in those technical positions or whatever. And I mean, they may do have them, but I still say everybody deserves a chance. They may have what they have, but I'm sure there are other Americans as well that do have what it takes as well. But all that has to be, decided upon when that time comes. Uh, Again, like I said, we are in for it, ladies and gentlemen. We are definitely in for it as far as like how all this plays out. Because, like I said, he ran on one policy of getting rid of the immigrants, and they're saying that's not going to happen because that's how I got in, and you're not going to be able to get rid of all of us because you got us as far as the tech portion, we're definitely needed. So we got to see how this plays out. But I just wanted to highlight how easy it was for them to laugh at the jokes of the comic Hinchcliffe during the rallies right before the election was final. They laughed at all those jokes about all the other people, but now that the shoe is on the other foot, it doesn't feel so good. Now that Vivek and Elon are pretty much like, telling them about themselves, Laura Loomer, she definitely doesn't want to hear it. But Vivek and Elon, they are both, foreigners. They're not from the United States. Elon himself, he came over here himself off of a H-1B visa. So now that they got the immigrants and foreigners telling them about themselves, the same thing they've been telling the Black people and other people from other countries, what they need to do, pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Now somebody's telling them what they need to be doing, how they're not all that they are cracked up to be either. I just wanted to point that out. It's funny when it's us or other people, but it's not funny when it's them. So I just wanted to point that out. I did want to play one video for you for the Midas touch, and he took a deep dive and just pretty much gave all the wording that I didn't give today. It's a trip. It's a trip. So like I said, we got to see what else happens next. Condolences to the families in New Orleans that lost their loved ones on New Year's Day. Such a sad situation. So much going on. Continue to pray daily. Continue to look to God daily. And hopefully pray that this thing doesn't go as bad as a lot of people are thinking that it's going to go. Because all we can say at this point is wow and oh my God, how did we get here? But we're here. And I always say, God will get the glory out of everything that does take place. But definitely cling closer to Him, cling tighter to Him, and stick with Him daily. Stay in your word, stay focused on Him. And I will see you guys in the next video.
There is a major civil war that has just erupted within the MAGA base. One side of the MAGA base is saying, look, we need to expand the H-1B visa program and bring in Indian entrepreneurs. This is being represented by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and others. They're basically saying, don't bring in other migrants, but we need to bring in immigrants where it helps tech. We're big tech, and we gave you all this money, Donald Trump. On the other side of the MAGA base, with people like Laura Loomer and other kind of right-wing MAGAs, they're saying, Donald, your whole thing was get rid of immigrants. We don't want Indians from India coming into the United States of America. We want to keep America white. Isn't that what you told us, Donald Trump? Why are you bringing in all of these foreigners? This thing erupted when Donald Trump announced the appointment of Sriram Krishnan to be his senior White House policy advisor on issues of artificial intelligence. Sriram is a venture capitalist who works for Andreessen Horowitz, a big kind of venture capital private equity firm with people who had given lots of money to Donald Trump. And he's part of the whole kind of tech bro movement of Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and others. He previously worked at Twitter when all of MAGA was saying Twitter was the worst thing ever. He also worked at Microsoft, Yahoo, Facebook, Snap. He's around my age. He's like 40 years old, 41 years old or so. And as soon as that was announced, MAGA got pissed. You had people like Laura Loomer putting out statements that were, on its face, racist and xenophobic about India. We'll go through some of that, a little bit of a trigger warning. Some of the statements are really, really kind of heinous. So I just want to kind of let you know that in advance, but it's important that we report on the news right here. But here's what Laura Loomer just posted. She goes, the elephant in the room is that Elon Musk, who is not MAGA and has never been, is a total effing drag on the Trump transition at Real Donald Trump. He's a stage 5 clinger who overstayed his welcome at Mar-a-Lago in an effort to become Trump's side piece and be the point man for all of his accomplices in big tech to slither in to Mar-a-Lago. She also said, why would you bring in Indian invaders to work in tech in the United States? She said something to the effect of, they shit in the same water. She then goes on to say, don't worry, guys, the divorce is coming. What she's referring to there is the civil war between her faction of MAGA and the tech bro faction of MAGA, who was not there with Donald Trump, but gave him so much money during the election, and they feel entitled to the MAGA movement right now. So we're seeing these forces collide, and it is getting very messy, folks. So here's what Elon Musk responded to as well. One of the people on his social media platform, X, formerly Twitter, wrote, there are over 330 million people in America. Surely there must be enough among them to build your ultimate team. Why would you deny real Americans that opportunity by bringing foreigners here? And these are MAGA people saying, wasn't your whole movement about anti-foreigners, like anti-everybody other than Americans? Didn't you say you were going to educate Americans and make all of these jobs, all of these high-paying jobs, American jobs, not foreign jobs? Elon Musk responds, your understanding of the situation is upside down and backwards. Of course, my companies and I would prefer to hire Americans, and we do, as that is much easier than going through the incredibly painful and slow work visa process. However, And he puts, however, in caps. There is a dire shortage of extremely talented and motivated engineers in America. This is not about handing out opportunities from some magical hat. You don't get it. This is blindingly obvious when looking at NBA teams, as the physical differences are so obvious to see. However, mental differences between humans are far bigger than physical differences, exclamation point, exclamation point, to which some of the MAGAs responded, well, then open up schools. We have brains. Americans have brains. Elon Musk goes, if you need a school, you've already lost. To which another MAGA responds, incredible. At this rate, you are actually going to make me side with the leftists who want to treat you like a hostile foreign agent. Laura Loomer then chimes in and goes, is Doge real, or is this just some vanity project? Can we have a conversation about this without people crying? To which Elon Musk responds, there is a permanent shortage of excellent engineering talent. It is the fundamental limiting factor in Silicon Valley. So what Elon Musk is saying is that migrants are needed for him. So when you see Elon Musk talk about America, just replace the word I with America. He's talking about what's beneficial for himself, because where there's also massive labor shortage is in areas like agriculture, hospitality, construction, where migrants are keeping our economy afloat, and where President Biden wanted to have a bipartisan immigration bill that would be very tough on the border, but would also recognize that our immigration system needs to be fixed so that our labor needs are met with a very strong border. But for Elon Musk, it just has to be immigrants who he believes is helpful to him. Elon Musk also goes, if it comes down to this, do you want America to win or do you want America to lose? If you force the world's best talent to play for the other side, America will lose. End of story. As our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, says, as I said many times, just substitute me or I for America in their post to find out what they are really saying. By the way, I'm setting aside a bunch of other Elon Musk statements, but what Elon Musk is simply saying as it relates to we need to recruit talent here to the United States, there's a truth at least to that. We need to do both. I think we need to recruit talent, and we shouldn't be a racist and xenophobic nation at all. We should be a beacon for people across the world, the best and the brightest, who want to come here to the United States. What we should also be, though, is a place that is supportive of American jobs, which is why President Biden had a policy that addressed both, right? Addressed having foreign talent here in the United States, but also bottom-up, middle-out economics, and also comprehensive immigration reform so that hard-working migrants can have a path to citizenship and we can have a very, very strong border. All of that seems kind of common sense, but the MAGAs undermine that with, oh, they're eating cats and dogs, they're coming for your geese, and all of that type of rhetoric. Matt Levine writes, the clash between the MAGA right and the tech right over skilled immigration is just an appetizer, by the way. The main course is going to be when the MAGA right discovers that most of the tech right leadership are married homosexual men. Take a look at what Vivek Ramaswamy says. And now I want you to think as I read this. Could you imagine if Vice President Kamala Harris or a Democrat made a statement like this? Essentially, Vivek Ramaswamy says, look, white Americans are idiots because they were too busy growing up watching Boy Meets World and watching Saved by the Bell. And so we need talent from India because basically white Americans are idiots. I'm going to read it for you so you can see that that's what Vivek says. But I want you to think about that, considering he's one of the top MAGA people. If there was ever a Democrat saying something like that, It would be on Fox around the clock, every second, front page of New York Post. Let's just be consistent here, okay? Let me read you what he says. So Vivek Ramaswamy, who's leading this Doge thing with Elon Musk for Donald Trump, goes, the reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over, quote, Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers, and if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. So here's what he says is the issue. He goes, our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zack and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Fact, I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actively limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows precisely because they promoted mediocrity, and their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competition, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chillin', more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kind of parents. More normal American kids view those kind of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. Now close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s or even now who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. This can be our Sputnik moment. We've awakened from slumber before, and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. A culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. That's the work we have cut out for us. Rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence, I'm confident we can do it. Really wallowing in victimhood and wishing for an alternative scenario seems to be what you and Trump completely campaigned on, that all of these jobs were going to magically be filled by Americans who were going to be making all of this money and get super rich. But now you're saying that they're to blame because they watched Boy Meets World during middle school, or they were the jocks instead of the mathletes. Again, imagine if that wasn't Vivek Ramaswamy, Trump's top guy, saying that, but that was Kamala Harris. Put yourself in that position. So all of these MAGAs then kind of responded to that and said things like, look, large companies, this is Cernovich, a right-wing guy, large companies offshore jobs to save money. IT was a big one. Train your replacement or no severance. Americans stopped studying IT because there are no jobs. Now companies say we need H-1B visas to fill the gap. Nothing to do with watching too much Zack and Slater. The Sam Alberti responds, I am begging the people now in charge of our country to get over the fact that they were miserable in high school. Patrick Casey goes, quote, he's saying this sarcastically, but kind of retranslating what Vivek basically just said. You dumb whites value charisma and athleticism, which is why you're falling behind. Only a trillion Indians can save you. Insane Post LMAO, right-wing host and Coulter goes, American workers can leave a company. Imported H-1B workers can't. Tech wants indentured servants, not high-skilled workers. Cernovich goes, MAGA is not corporatist. We don't need to see record corporate profits in GDP as the measure of our country, to which our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, responds, MAGA has suddenly realized that the tech bros who have taken over the MAGA movement are actually globalists. And then Andrew Torba goes in response to Vivek Ramaswamy. We have to import my kinsman because you guys watched Boy Meets World growing up. Is anyone really taking this seriously? Someone by the name of Noah Smith penned this op-ed, quote, the new MAGA coalition has officially had its first internal debate over H-1B visas. It started when Trump appointed Sri Ram Krishnan. Elon and the tech bros, shocked to realize they're in a coalition with people who actually hate immigrants. Noah Smith goes, the fight on the right over Indian immigration is a reminder why we used to have this useful term called racist that we could use to dismiss people who obviously just want a future of chaos and destruction for America, she goes on to say, or Noah goes on to say. In the old days, when I was growing up, we used to simply call that sort of thing racism and thus exile it from polite society. Behind that taboo were centuries of history of contentious nation building and self-definition. We learned from experience that a polyglot nation can't constantly think about who our country's true sons of the soil, or it paralyzes itself with conflict. Now, after the 2010s, racist is such an overused insult that it's applied toward basically anything. Social media created a zone of opportunism where anonymous teenagers clawed for status by constantly finding new innocuous things to call racist, while progressive activists devalued the term by trying to apply it too broadly. This robbed the word of its power to righteously condemn the kind of people who go on social media and declare that Indian doctors and CEOs are a bunch of third world mud people who will pollute the blood of our nation. So yes, all of the racism against Indians now pouring out of right-wing circles is very racistly racist racism from a bunch of racist racists, but saying that fact is no longer sufficient to make it go away. Interesting perspective right there. Checking in on what's been going on in Mar-a-Lago to see if we think the people in Mar-a-Lago are in touch with the MAGA base out there who brought Donald Trump in with all of these promises that he was going to help. They're like, oh, look at this. Look at these photos that they're taking from Christmas. Doesn't exactly seem that the union workers and others who voted for Trump were voting for that. But, you know, you effed around and you found out, and that's what you are getting. You have people like Ashley Sinclair, far right wing. She goes, never cross the base. Never cross the base, she says. It goes on to say, Ashley Sinclair goes, you know it's bad when even Dick Cheney in heels gets it. Johnny MAGA goes, holy smokes, because Nikki Haley is now critical of Vivek Ramaswamy, and Nikki Haley sees an opening in this civil war for her to emerge as a leader. And she goes, there's nothing wrong with American workers or American culture. All you have to do is look at the border and see how many want what we have. We should be investing and prioritizing in Americans, not foreign workers. And that's coming from Nikki Haley. Meanwhile, far right-wing extremist Nick Fuentes goes, I don't really care about the economy that much. I just don't want to live in a country that looks like India. So this is essentially what Donald Trump has created. This is the war going on. I thought it was important to highlight it in detail so y'all understand. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers together.